Welcome to the Mission Files. This is Tennyson E. Stead, creator of Jump Rangers. And the Mission Files is a weekly stream where we sit down and we write a one-shot Jump Rangers adventure. Now, we started one last week that we didn't finish, so we're picking up part 2 of an adventure called the Trek Rule, which is the part of the Jump Rangers code that says if you're not doing something else, if you don't have an important mission, if you're not trying to help people or save people, then you should be out there exploring and finding new places for people to live. Because we want to keep the colonies small to keep them safe. We want to keep them hard to find. So finding new places to put people is always a priority. And that's part of what Jump Rangers do. So I figured let's build a one-shot adventure, a little template for playing through anytime the Jump Rangers decide that the Trek rule applies. Anytime the Jump Rangers decide, okay, now we need to go out there and find a new world and figure out if it can be colonized. We've got some rules for that. So we talked through sneaking aboard a Saurian mothership, which is content that is pretty well covered in the Jump Rangers universe at this point. And where we left off was in building a system for randomly generating motherships to be on. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Hopefully we'll be done with this whole adventure by the time we close out this stream. So that's the plan. Let's get into our Mission Files workspace here. So, just in case this is anybody's first time on the Mission Files, every one-shot adventure is supposed to have no more than 4 scenes. We've done as many as 5, but the truth is, people get distracted. People, in an evening of role-playing, people go off on tangents. People wind up talking to one character for 2 hours. Something always happens to slow things down. So, which is good. We like that. That's where the story comes from. But we need to make sure that we keep our expectations of what we're actually going to accomplish in one night. If the plan is to have a one-shot adventure, we need to keep our ambitions contained in terms of how much story we're actually going to tell. So we have 4 scenes in any given one-shot. The first scene has to be the scene where the Jump Rangers figure out what they're actually doing. If they're going to be given a mission, they have to talk through, what's going on with the person who needs the help. If they're going to take a mission upon themselves, they have to talk amongst themselves about what they're trying to accomplish. That's the first scene. The 4th scene is where we wrap things up, which means you really have 2 scenes to tell your story, right? So in this particular story, the first scene is when they sneak onto the mothership. We've covered that. We've got that. The second scene is when they sneak off the mothership and they find out what's waiting for them. That's what we're doing. That's it. So, here's scene 1 is, discussing the Trek rule, discussing how to get the Jump Rangers moving if they're not reminding each other about the Trek rule. Maybe there's a colonial governor who's tired of having these kids running around. They might imply that maybe the Jump Rangers should be doing something productive with their time. Scene 2 is basically an overview of where to find information about sneaking aboard motherships. So that's covered. Scene 3 is where the Jump Ranger's going. So here we have a Saurian mothership generation table. We should probably call it a random Saurian mothership generation table, because it is. We like random generation tables in general in role-playing. They're fun. So, that's the deal. Step 1, roll a die to find out how many destinations the mothership you're on stops at along their trade route. I don't want... Okay, so we have 8 sides on a die. We have 8 sides on a die. And here's the thing. I'm trying to break this up into a couple of different steps. And I don't want a mothership to have too many stops because I don't want there to be a situation where the game starts to get unfun, where characters are going somewhere. But then again, Ippy Looney's shaking no. No, then again? You don't think so? Okay. So here's the challenge. Okay, so we're going to roll a die to find out how many destinations the mothership you're on stops at along their trade route. That's what we're going to do. But we don't want there to be more than 3 stops on any trade route. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have this table, and then we're going to have a second table where we get into the destinations that are on the trade route. Okay, that's the plan. But because we have 8 sides to the dice, and because we don't want there to be more than 3 destinations on any given trade route, because otherwise, the mothership is going to be a bit of a slog to get back to where you started from, if you need to. We're going to have to come up with some other things for the mothership to do, some other complications in how that trade route is executed. So, let's talk about that. So, if you roll a 1 on this chart, so the mothership you're on, your heroes are on, has no trade route. That's the 1. Simply repeat step 2 every time the mothership completes its business on any given planet. To find out where the mothership is going next. Some motherships don't have trade routes. That's how it goes. So, step 2. Apart from planet you are on, you departed from, this mothership has one other destination. Roll once on step 3 to find out what those destinations are. No, I don't want that. Here we go. Roll once on step 3 to find out what those destinations are. Okay. Boom. That's 1. We don't need to be fancy with the annotation. There we go. So, on a 3, this mothership has 2 other destinations. Looks like we got some happy mail. Is it a bag? We got a happy mail in the bag. A happy bag. Yeah. Very cute. Cute bags in the mail. That's what's happening. All right. So, this mothership has 2 other destinations. Roll twice on step 3 to find out what those destinations are. So now we have 5 more things to come up with in order to complete this. So number 8 should always be kind of a worst case scenario. But this is not a destination. This is you understand, this is what the mothership is actually in charge of doing, right? This isn't, there's going to be other roles to make. There's going to be other possibilities for kind of worst case scenarios. This is what the mothership's trade route actually is. So oh, we're getting a here we go. Looks like we may have a visitor in chat after all. It looks like Cosmic Marauder might be joining us on the Twitch stream. Yeah. Yep. All right. That's exciting. Let's take a quick look at the. All right. Those 2 things can get deleted. So the worst thing that can happen to sort of the overall flow of your trade route is that the mothership is in some way just being canceled. Like, this is the end of the mothership. So, what would we call that? We would call that a mutiny or a coup or something like that. Let's see. Saurian power struggle. Exclamation point. The Rexors in charge of this mothership have been marked for death by the leaders of House Talon. The ruling house of Soros. The ruling house of the Saurian Empire. How and why this happened is up for debate. But Rexors is up to the storyteller. There are Rexors aboard this mothership. There are Rexors aboard this mothership who plan to murder the mothership's Rexor leadership. Saurian power struggle. The Rexors in charge of this mothership have been marked for death by the leaders of House Talon, the ruling house of the Saurian Empire. How and why this has happened is up to the storyteller, but there are Rexors aboard this mothership who are planning to murder the mothership's Rexor tyrants and warlords and deliver the mothership to Soros before the next stop. The mothership reaches its destination. Destination. That's not even a word. Yep. Reaches its next port of call. Okay. All right. There we go. So, now, the mothership. So we have a scenario where there's the mothership goes back and forth between two places. We have a scenario where the mothership goes back and forth between three places, which I think is pretty normal for a trade route. We have a scenario where the mothership just goes off into space. We need another scenario where the mothership goes back and forth between two or three places, but, right? But. And what's the but? That's the question. You know what I mean? So if the mothership is so if there's a ship and it's traveling between a port or two ports or three ports, it's all part of some big interstellar empire. Okay. Okay. So the Saurian Empire is always at war. So the thing that would interrupt a mothership's trade route would be fighting. The mothership would be called in to reinforce. Okay. So this is it. This is it. So it's like an interrupted flight path. Apart from the planet you departed from, this mothership has one other destination. But this mothership is being called into service, support Saurian efforts before it can resume its trade route. Yeah. This mothership is being called into combat service to support Saurian efforts on some other planet before it can resume its trade route. There we go. To find out where the surprise destination is located. And then roll once more. What that destination is. To discover the mothership's original destination. Great. Okay. Alrighty. Great. So now we can do that again for the two-step, right? 5. Two other destinations. But this mothership is being called into combat service to support. Roll once on step 3 to find out where, and then roll twice more. Great. Now we need 2 more sort of things here. Let's see. Okay. So there's no trade route. It's a trade route of 2 locations. It's a trade route of 3 locations. Is there some other interrupt that I can throw into a trade route? So a Saurian mothership could get called off for the sake of. Hang on. Rexors aboard this mothership planning to murder the mothership's Rexor tyrants. The mothership's own. Okay. Is there some other interrupt that I can throw at this system? Is my question. Called off for combat. That makes sense. Called off for combat, or okay. So one of 2 things could be going on here. Either the mothership is being called off to fight, or alternatively, the mothership is going to try and sneak off and accomplish something it's not supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? There could also be an effort on the part of the mothership's own leadership to pull some kind of fast one and gain power in the Saurian Empire. So we have basically this again, which is what we're talking about, reusing these basic ideas, this interrupt concept, right? Boom and boom. But now it's not the Saurian horde that's pulling the ship off. Of course, it's the ship saying, we can go and explore something, we can do something. So we don't call this a Saurian power struggle, we call it combat duty. We're going to say this one's combat duty. combat duty. And this is going to be called Rexor Power Play. I like this because this kind of does reflect the politics of the Saurian Horde. They are all pretty sneaky. They're all trying to outmaneuver each other. They're all trying to use each other's resources. Okay. And I think it throws a little unpredictability into the trade routes and this concept of motherships always being exactly where you expect them to be. Because yes, to an extent, the Saurian Horde is running like a well-oiled machine, but also it's full of all of these incredibly selfish beings. It's run by all of these tyrants. They're always trying to accomplish conniving things. So let's gamify that a little bit. Don't you think? Ipiluni says yes. Of course. Of course. Naturally. I'm so proud of your gaming brain, Tenny. That's what Ipiluni says. I'm in awe. Ipiluni says that they're actually in. Ah! I just blew out your speakers. Oh, Ipiluni got a necklace. All right. Very good. Okay, so Rexor Power Play. Apart from the planet you departed from, this mothership has one of their stations, but the Rexors of this mothership are going to... Oh, that's very nice. Very cute. Pull off some kind of secret bid for power before they are expected before they need to be next port of call. Where this secret mission is taking place. But the Rexors of this mothership are going to try and pull off some kind of secret job or bid for power before they need to be at their next port of call. Roll once on step 3 to find out where this secret mission is taking place. They need to work fast, of course, because they don't want the Rexors ruling over them to find out the opportunity or weakness. Before they can cash in on it, before they can make it work. But that's not what I want to say. Before they can capitalize on it. That's too big a word for kids. Yeah. Yeah. Take advantage of it for themselves. Okay. To this opportunity or intel where they can take advantage of it. In the Saurian horde, it's every lizard for themselves. Okay. So let's just read this and make sure it makes sense, right? Saurian power play, Rexor power play. Apart from the planet you departed from, this mothership has one other destination, but the Rexors of this mothership are going to try and pull off some kind of secret job or bid for power before they need to be at their next port of call. They need to work fast, of course, because they don't want the Rexors ruling over them to know about the opportunity or intel or whatever it is they're exploiting before they've seized what victory and power can be gotten from it. In the Saurian horde, it's every lizard for themselves. Roll once on step 3 to find out where this secret mission is taking place, and then roll once more to discover where the mothership was supposed to be. Where the mothership is expected to be. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we can just do number 7, make it the same thing. But has 2 other destinations. But remember, they need to work fast so that nobody else knows what they're up to. Secret bid for power. What the secret, where this secret mission is taking place, and then roll twice more to discover where the mothership is. To discover the mothership's original trade route. To dock. Apart from the planet you departed from, This mothership has 2 other destinations, but the Rexors of this mothership are going to try and pull off some kind of secret job or bid for power before they need to be at their next port of call. Remember, they need to work fast so that nobody else knows about their secret bid for power. Side job. Before they need to be at their next port of call. Remember, they need to work fast so that nobody else knows about their secret bid for power. And the Empire finds out about their secret bid for power. They're sneaky. Bid for power. Roll once on step 3 to find out where this secret mission is taking place, and then roll twice more to discover the planets where this mothership is expected to dock. We're in good shape here. We're in good shape. It's looking good. So, just check in on this Discord here. Excellent. I'm making up random generation charts. We're talking. It's a good time. And I'll see you in chat if you're around. Perfect. Excellent. All right. So, going back to the work at hand here. So that is step 2. Step 3 is, what planets are we talking about? What planets are we talking about? Where is this mothership going? Let's deal with that. So, I'm going to get rid of all these lines eventually. 10 rows below. But right now, we need them because we need to be able to see where the spaces are and things. So, merge cells. Step. I love this. I kept saying step 3, but it's really step 2. What a mess I am. Ippy Looney says I'm a mess. Oh. All right. Step 2. 2. Here we go. Step 2. Roll 1 die. Let's go ahead and move this over there. Step 2. For each location, this mothership is expected, for each planet, at which this mothership is expected to dock, and note the result. Easy peasy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So, some planets a lot of motherships go to. So we're going to put some planets here. Just because most trade routes will have 1 or 2 places where you're not gathering natural resources. You're delivering natural resources to a place where they can be refined or to where they need to be used. So not every mothership is just always flying to randomly generated planets. A lot of motherships will spend a lot of time in very common areas of the Saurian Empire. So 1 should usually be something remarkable and interesting. 8 should always be something pretty bad. So I don't think we need this guy. I think we can delete that row. So I think 8 is Loom Attack. Pulling the Saurian mothership out. Out of do you know I haven't even really figured out what to call hyperspace? I don't think we can call it hyperspace because I think that's actually trademarked by Lucasfilm. But it is called hyperspace when you're in between the galaxy, when you're in between the universe. Right? When you're going from the skin of the universe and you're cutting through. I don't want to call it warp space. Every science fiction universe has to come up with their own word for this. Right? Can't call it quantum drive, can't quantum travel because that's Star Citizen. Plus, it's not really quantum travel. Let's be honest. Right? It's interstellar travel. It's trans well, yes, but it only really matters what the humans call it right now. Trans it's not transstellar, it's transspatial. Transspace. That's too many S's. Interspace. Just interspace is where you are when you're cutting in between the sort of parts of the universe. That's Star Wars. Okay. Well, I'm going to call it interspace for now. I like it. And I'm going to have to put that in the data deck. Things to add to the data deck. Interspace is the space that motherships travel through, and that star drives push you through. Star drive. I've avoided this because humans don't do this, but they're starting to. They're starting to. Interstellar, yeah, interstellar, interspace. Okay. That'll work. So, pulling the mothership out of interspace, a loom mothership attacks the Saurians. Pulling your Saurian mothership out of interspace, a loom mothership attacks the Saurians. Roll one more time on step 3 to find out the original destination of your mothership. That's interesting. I like that. Okay. So, So, planet Soros is number 7. Planet Cinder is number 6. Number 5 is planet Inferno. Planet 4 is planet Sapphire. I think a lot of motherships go to planet Soros. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say 6 and 7 is planet Soros. That only leaves 1 and 2 for rolling up new planets. But here's the other thing, is that this isn't necessarily the only destination this mothership is going to have. And finding new planets isn't necessarily going to be that common a thing. I think we play it out. I think we give it a try. And we see how it works before we say no. I think that's a playtest issue. So 1 and 2. That's a 25% chance on an 8-sided dice that you're going to find a new planet if you're only going to one location. And it's a higher chance, but not a 50% chance if you're going to 2 locations. This is how the Empire gets charted. I don't know. I think it this is something that just has to be play tested. I like it. Okay. So we're going to actually call this step 3 after all. No, this will be step 2. I know the problem. I know the problem. The problem, folks, is that this isn't step 1, this is step 2. Because I need to know what house this mothership is in service to. So now we're going to make all these step 3. And I'm trying to figure out the appropriate place to figure out what Saurian house. We just do it right at the beginning. That's what we need to do. That's the issue. And then we can get into, okay, what planet did you discover? That's how we do it. Easy peasy. Thank you so much. Ippy Looney says I'm the easy peasy one. Your mothership has landed on a planet never before seen by human eyes. Proceed with the following steps to find out more about it. Find out more about planet Sapphire in, we got to look it up, data deck. What now? I got it all right here. Why am I doing that? Twitch stream, Planet Inferno, Planet Cinder, Planet Sapphire. Okay. Okay. data deck. There we go. Find out. Okay. So that's what that's about. This was Planet Inferno. Data deck file. It's going to be faster to just copy this. Okay. So data deck file. So Planet Inferno. Here we go. All right. So Planet Inferno. And this is data deck file 41. Planet Cinder is 29. There. Planet Soros. Planet Soros. In the Jump Rangers core book. Chapter 6. Hiding in the galaxy. Hiding in the among the stars. Is that right? Let's just do a quick check. Fact check. 6. Nope. Chapter 7. Great. Okay. And repeat this process for every unknown planet on your trade route. Okay. All right. So now we need to go back and do step 1. So we're just going to go boop, 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 boop. And 10 rows above. Outstanding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Delete. It is quite hot. So let's go ahead and put all of these over here. And let's bold all these numbers just to make it a little more easy to read on the page. Ah! Pixel Prodigy Mastermind is hello, is this Cosmic Marauder? Hi, Wick. How do you do? All right. So, this stream is the mission files. And on the mission files, once a week I sit down and I write a one-night, one-shot adventure for the Jump Rangers tabletop role-playing game. This one's taken me 2 weeks because there's a lot of sort of setup involved in this particular adventure. There's a lot of this whole session is basically going to be building random encounter tables for this one adventure that theoretically you should be able to roll in one night. The adventure is going to be called the Trek Rule because the Jump Rangers live by a code, and each of there's 8 rules. There's a lot of the number 8 in Jump Rangers because we use 8-sided dice, such as this. So, 8 rules that the Jump Rangers live by. One of them is the Trek Rule, which basically says we all owe it as Jump Rangers to the human race to go find new places for people to live and to discover the galaxy as much as possible. If the Jump Rangers aren't doing something else, if they don't have a mission to pursue for the sake of humankind, they need to go find out what's out there and what's waiting for us in the galaxy. So Jump Rangers will just sneak aboard Saurian motherships that nobody's been on board to find out what their trade route is and to find out where they're going and to see where they end up. And that's the Trek Rule. So I don't know if you've ever played a tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons & Dragons, for example. But getting through a whole story in one night is a big challenge. So one of the things that we need to do... Yes, D&D, perfect. All right. People go off and do all kinds of crazy things. They have ideas of their own about what's important. They're almost never going to just find the sort of core of the plot. They're going to find their own way into it, and they're going to take their sweet time doing it. So we break our stories down into scenes. I just noticed a typo. So we break our stories down into scenes. And we can only really get away with 4 scenes in any particular evening, is the philosophy. The first scene is when the Jump Rangers find out what they're actually doing. And so we write down scene 1. First, we establish the big picture. What is the Trek Code? Why is this story important? Right? Setting up the story. Let's talk about the frame of reference with which the characters might be going into the story a little bit. And then we just do scene 1, 2, 3, and 4. Scene 1 has to be the scene where the Jump Rangers figure out what they're doing. If there isn't anyone in the heroes group who has decided to invoke the Trek Rule and get everybody moving, if they're still just kind of partying and enjoying the fact that they've just had a victory or whatever it is that's going on in the story, then maybe there's a colony leader who's tired of dealing with them, that, and they'll remind them. How do you get a bunch of kids to go and do something? That's what scene 1 is about. Exactly. Scene 2 is sneaking aboard the mothership, because they have to. You can't get on board a mothership unless you actually do the work. Now, for our purposes here, the content involved in getting on board a Saurian mothership is pretty well established. So what I do here is talk about that and what the practices are typically. So there's no need to really come up with anything new for that. So this just refers the storyteller to where that material is already in the Jump Rangers universe. And these mission files are like quick one-shot files. Anything in the data decks is like once a week at least I try to publish something that's just my thoughts on this particular aspect of the Jump Rangers universe, or here's one thing that can help you storytell a little bit better, or here's a new creature, or here's a new piece of technology, just one micro supplement. So in the data decks, it's very much okay to just say, here's where this information is. Let's move on and get to what's unique about this situation. And there's, at this point, more than, there's tons of data decks. This is going to be 70-something. On top of the 5 supplements that I've written, and on top of the actual Jump Rangers core book. So, scene 3 is, where's this mothership going? Once you've gotten yourself on board, you've gotten yourself hidden somewhere, where does it land? What happens to the mothership? What did you sign yourself up for? And that's the discovery, what's there to be discovered. So what we're doing is we're generating a random Saurian mothership generation table so that people can just pick up an 8-sided die and figure out, okay, here's the Saurian house that's in charge of this mothership. And then here's where it goes. Does it have a trade route? Yes or no? Here's where it goes on its trade route. And here's what happens along the way. So I was working through those later questions and I realized I need to know the politics of the mothership first. So step 2 in this process is to find out how many destinations the mothership is going to have. Let me scroll up here. So I keep using my own sheet as an example. Here's the big picture where we explain the context, setting up the story, and this is what all of these mission files look like. Scene 1, here's the stuff about, how do we get these kids moving? Scene 2, here's the stuff about where do you find information about getting on and off Saurian motherships? And scene 3 is, okay, what's going on here, right? This is what we're going to be working on in a second. This is the Saurian houses, which I think is going to write itself. That's pretty, I know what they are. I just need to dig up that information. Here we've got, step 2 is roll 1 die to find out how many destinations the mothership has along the trade route. So if you roll a 1, there is no trade route. You just keep rolling on step 3 to find out where the mothership goes next. Step 2 is, apart from where you are right now, there's one other destination on this trade route. If you get a 3, there's 2 other destinations on the trade route. If you get a 4, there's one other destination on the trade route, but the mothership's getting called off to combat duty. And I'm going to fix this little piece of text right here. And so you roll. Well, thank you. So here we go. So you get a 5. It's combat duty again, only it's 2 destinations on the trade route. That's what's being disrupted. 6 is there's like a Saurian power play. The Rexors, the giant Tyrannosaurus Rexes that run this mothership, have a secret plan. They're going to sneak off and try and sneak an extra destination into their trade route. And so they're going to try and hustle and get something done so that they can get more power, get more wealth, get something out of this. And then 7 is, again, the same thing, but it's a 2 destination trade route that they're trying to get that into. And then 8 is always bad. You don't want to roll 8s in this game. The 8 here is that there's a Saurian power struggle, and that Rexors, giant telepathic Tyrannosaurus Rexes from a more powerful house, are coming on board this ship. And they're going to murder the Rexors who run this ship and take it back to Soros. They're probably going to wind up exterminating the entire crew. It's going to be a bloodbath, and you're going to have to survive that. I think this is great for kids. It's dinosaurs. I don't know if it's going to be okay or not. We're just going with it. So it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So then you know how many stops there are along the way, right? Now we need to know where those stops are located. So if you roll a 1 or a 2, it's a planet no human has ever seen before, and we'll have tables to sort of build that up. If it's a 3, you're going to a giant planet made of Octonium where the Saurians mostly mine their power. If it's a 4, you're going to a planet called Inferno where they do a lot of their manufacturing, although there's some interesting plot around Inferno. Some human pirates have built a base there and are kind of lying to the rest of the human race about what's on that planet. So they're going to try and keep you on the mothership and use you to smuggle the goods that they're pulling off that planet. They're super shady. So that's interesting. Planet Cinder is a planet that the Saurians have mined out to the point where it's exploded. And then they've sort of used the fragments of that planet to build a shipyard in between them, and they can just pull resources from all these different bits and pieces. So it's become one of the biggest mining and infrastructure planets of the Saurian Empire because they've shattered it. And then 6 and 7 is the Saurian homeworld of Soros. And there's human colonies on Soros. Soros is dangerous, but people are there. And then if you roll an 8, the Saurian mothership is attacked while in what we're calling interspace, which I just came up with on this because I've never had to think about hyperspace because humans can't do it. So the Saurian mothership gets pulled out of interspace by a loom attack. You could get stranded in deep space, theoretically, if the Saurian mothership is destroyed and you do not get on board the Loom mothership. You have problems. So that's where we are right now. The next thing that we have to do is talk about Saurian houses. So I'm going to pull up my. It's not going to come up on because I don't have this particular file on the OBS, which is what I use for streaming. But I'm just going to pull up a file and copy and paste some information about Saurian houses here. One sec. And I'll just bring that right into the file that we're working on. So we're going to scroll up to this right here. This is what we do on Thursdays. You are the first person to ever check into this stream, so thank you for joining me. All this stuff is going on YouTube, so other people have access to it. Thank you. And if you're interested in playing Jump Rangers, of course, let me know. I can. Oh, understood. Well, if you want, I can get you on Discord. Do you want me to get you on Discord? You can get on the stream. Sign into the air. I'm going to ask you not to. But if you want to go in the other room and hide in the air conditioning. Oh, you don't have the mic now. Okay, perfect. All right. Hang tight. House. I'm flipping through. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. House Viper. Okay. We're going to steal my descriptions from the other, just right from the house Cataclysm. Gosh, I have a lot of Saurian houses. I may not need all of these. Oh, I bet you are. I bet you are. It's very complicated to move a whole household with kids and everything. House Spawn, House Siska. Okay. So, let's go ahead and add an extra row below. Row below. Okay. So this is actually going to be number 8. And this is going to be House House Viper. All right. House Viper. All right. So, put that in caps. We don't need all of this formatting. No. We want... Yeah, we just want it to be clear. That didn't work. Weird. Where is the little paint guy? Let's see, is it down here? Editing. Yeah, that's what we need. Transparent. Thank you. Okay. All right. So House Viper is basically a gang of space dinosaur terrorists and pirates aiming to destabilize and rule the Saurian horde. I have a typo right here. So the problem with this for the player is that they've just gotten on board. Wherever House Viper is headed, they are going to attack when House Viper gets where they're going. Where they're going, they're going to attack any Saurian strongholds they find. So you are in the middle of a disaster. Congratulations. That's what that's about. Now, major house in the Saurian Fort, House Spawn, House Siska has earned a place in the Empire by literally taking out the garbage. House Serpentis, House Necros. We don't need House Necros in this chart. So, Lizards of Industry. So, let's go ahead, put a row here. That's one. House Talent. All right, and let's put this in caps here. House Talon is the ruling house of the Saurian Horde. They are the authority on Soros. They're in charge of everything. So if you roll a 1, you are on board a Talon mothership. It's probably about the safest place that you can be because nobody is going to fight them. Or at least not successfully. All right. So let's see here. Let's see what we got here. House Cataclysm. Okay. Yeah, we'll put House Cataclysm on this chart for sure. So that's 2. Lizards of Industry. House Dragon has served for millennia as the... Yes, House Dragon. House Dragon is definitely a house that the Saurians would be likely to get you on. House Creech. Bullying and exploiting those that are weaker than they are. I don't know. House Serpentis. The bureaucrats. So, House Serpentis. So the major houses are all likely houses that you're going to wind up stuck with. That is for sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we need 3 more. House Siska. I think it's definitely important that Jump Rangers could wind up on a garbage scow. So we're going to definitely do House Siska. 6. 2 more. House Spawn. Is inevitably a major house. Yeah, I got to have that. Because that's like the manufacturers, the ones that create most of the goods. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need one more, and it's House Creech. Here we go. Delete. House Creech. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Delete. How did they dock? How was this mothership docked? Dock at the last spaceport. At the spaceport where you boarded. At the spaceport you boarded from without. So back to House Viper and the pirates and whatnot. Without anyone noticing. Maybe the spaceport is in league with the pirates. Maybe they were disguised. But their next destination is where they are planning the attack. Just roll on step 2 to see where they're planning their attack. Skip to step 3. That's how we do it. There we go. Skip to step 3. Okay. I am cooking Ipiluni out of the living room. It's really hot here. We've got the AC off for audio reasons. I will keep this going for a little while longer, but I'm obviously exhausting my wife's patience here. All right. Yep. And now. Oh. Well, thank you. I'm glad somebody's here. I just figured, if I'm working through, one concept a week, it's an opportunity for people to talk about the lore, ask questions, get involved. People can come in with suggestions about content that they want to see or stories that they would like to see developed. And this is the kind of thing that's going to take a while to get going. But I think if I keep doing this week in and week out, as more people get accustomed to the game, they're going to be interested and they're going to want to see their ideas floated. They're going to want to see, they're going to want to be a part of the creative process. And so this can kind of be a little bit of a crowdsourcey game dev session where every week there's just a little bit more content generated for the game. Yeah, exactly, very much so. So, to find out more, check out. All right, so check out. Let's see here. Where is the information on House Talon? That's the first question. Data deck file 23. Data deck file 23. So, let's go ahead. Let's fix the color. We don't need it underlined. To find out more about House Talon. So, House Cataclysm. I think House Cataclysm is a major house. Yep. House Cataclysm, they're kind of like just the tanks. They're the berserkers of the Saurian horde. They're dangerous and rambunctious, um, and always a tool for the ruling house, whoever they are. Dragon is the ship manufacturers and the labor force. Um, Serpentis, they're mostly bureaucrats, and they're kind of the chief competition for power on Soros for House Talon, but they don't stand a chance against House Talon. So right now they're very much doing House Talon's bidding. There's never any guarantee that that's going to remain the case. House Spawn is the manufacturing base of the Saurian horde. They've built their much like House Dragon, they've built their empire on industry. So those are the major houses that I have in here, and I have 3 minor houses. So I'm going to grab the data deck on minor houses of the Saurian horde and make sure that I put a link in there so people know where to find that information. This is, I think, going to be a fun little chart. Random charts. One of the things that I wanted to get out of Jump Rangers, just in terms of gameplay, was the ridiculousness of old advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Just the arcaneness of, like, you can just have a chart for that. Like, roll some dice and weird things happen. Do you know what I mean? That weird sense of specificity that came from random monster powers and wild magic and just all of that kind of nonsense. There's so much nonsense in AD&D that I feel like we've lost. Yeah, I think Dungeons and Dragons has gotten away from that. The elegance of Jump Rangers is in the simplicity of the gameplay. So there's not that nonsense. There's other kinds of nonsense. But, you know, with, for example, these data deck files, I'll just throw a random chart at the audience just to make things funny. And I like that. I think that that's cool. So that's kind of where I wound up with this particular adventure. This may end up being something that I have to work on next week too, because it is ridiculously labor intensive to come up with all this ridiculousness. But the other thing is that this is the kind of adventure, I mean, the Trek rule always applies to a Jump Ranger's life. So I want people to be able to get mileage out of this adventure in particular. Siska. So House Creech, yeah, and House Spawn, and House Viper. Oh, I did that wrong. Step 3. Okay. All right. So that's step 1. I gotta do a little thing at the top here. Here we go. Step 1. Roll 1 die to find out how many destiny. Okay, to find out which Saurian house is in charge of the mothership your heroes have stowed away on. Looking up the politics. Use this chart to find out more about the house in quest. Use this information. You can use this information. I don't want to tell people what to do. You can use this information to find out, to start thinking about what kinds of who's running this mothership, and what they might want from the planets they visit. I think I've been working hard on simplifying my language a little bit. Not necessarily simplifying the words that I use, but just speaking in a very direct way, even when I use more complicated words, because I do want this to be something kids can read for themselves. I don't want it to be um, exclusive. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to outthink my reader. I want to sound like I'm trying to help my reader. And it's encouraged me, and yeah, it's important. Well, Jump Rangers is for kids, and one of the things that I do on Tuesdays is I read from the book that I'm writing. I'm up to, I think, chapter 9 or 10 in the streams, and I'm up to about chapter 14 or 15 in the actual writing. And it's pushed my voice as a writer in directions that I never thought it would go. I'm taking on a much more Gale character, much more reader friendly, playful tone, because I want to use words that don't necessarily talk down to the audience. I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to write something that's at a low reading level. I want people to feel empowered and adult and whatever in reading what they're reading, and at the same time I want to generate a sense of play in the text. So weirdly, I've sort of like borrowed little bits from like that Jane Austen sort of Victorian sensibility that so many writers love today, even though I don't think that's me at all. It's sort of leaked into there because I want there to be a sense of poetry in the science fiction, but I want it to be fun and silly and a little bit whimsical. So there's an element of Doctor Who almost to the text that it's not there because of the whimsy of the world. It's there because I think it anchors the perspective. Anyway. That's what I was just wrestling with while writing this. I mean, this is all technical writing. This is all here's how you do this thing that makes the game work. So, doobie doobie doo. Okay, so we've got that. We need step 4, which is we've just landed on a planet that no one's ever seen before. What kind of planet is it? Yep. All right. 7. Oh, I see. 7 columns below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 2 more. 2 columns below. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for stopping by, Wick. Have a great evening. Give my regards to your family. And I'm streaming tomorrow if you want to do some Star Citizen. I don't know if you're in the game yet or not, but feel free to join me. Um, and I will catch you anon, sir. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the Jump Ranger stream. I appreciate it a lot. Have a good evening. Merge cells is possible. I will. Perfect. Let me know. Catch you later. Have a good one. All right. Step 4. This is very involved, but I think this is going to be a really great adventure. All right, let's scroll down. Let's make sure the audience can read what we're doing here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're way down here now. Step 4. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To find out what kind of planet your mothership is visiting. So, let's see here. So 8. So when I'm writing a screenplay, it's usually easy for me to start. So the first thing that I do, and I probably should have a screenwriting stream where I just break down a concept once a week on my personal YouTube. I think it might be interesting for people. And it's nothing like that has ever been done before, as far as I know. It's becoming more and more likely that I should do this. But putting that aside, right? The first thing I do is figure out what's the action of the story, what's really going on. Once I know that, the next thing that I put my mind to is okay, so if someone were trying to accomplish this goal, because acting is about action, a story is about what a character is doing. If a character were trying to accomplish that goal, what is the worst possible consequence of trying to what's the biggest mess? What's the biggest total? How deep? If someone was trying to accomplish this goal in an unsustainable way without the tools that they need, because a character has to be unequipped to accomplish their goal, or it's easy and it's boring to watch. It's only interesting to watch somebody do something if it's hard to do, right? If that's the case, what's the worst possible situation that person is likely to create? If they really buried themselves, what would that look like? If they destroyed all hope of success in their unsustainable effort to accomplish that thing, and that's the end of Act 2. You spend the 3/4 of the movie watching the character create this mess, and then the last quarter of the movie watching them try and fix it. That's every movie. In this case, we start on the 8. You know what I mean? So if what's the worst kind of planet? What's the worst kind of planet? Um, it would be a war zone. Until now, it was thought Planet Link was the only front line between the Saurian Horde and the Loom. You have found a world where the combat between these two is so severe, your mothership is very likely to be blasted from the sky. You will need to find. If that happens, you will need to find some other mothership to take you back off world. All the air and water has been burned from this blackened rock of a world. In the fighting. So plan accordingly. So please plan accordingly. So please bring environmental gear. So please seal your jumpsuits. All right. Warzone. Super Earth. That's the best. 1 is the best. Here we go. All right. Well, that was fun. It is cool when people show up for this stream. Actually, that was the first time it's happened. I really enjoyed that. I really liked that. Um, it's 6:36. I've been going for an hour and a half. We're gonna finish this chart and then wrap this up next week. That's how we're gonna do this. Well, this is fun. I like it. Super Earth. Congratulations. You have found a world with the atmosphere, the temperatures, and the vegetation. The vegetation and the wildlife to support human life. All you need to do now is think of a pretty color for the sky. Huh. Saurians are only just beginning to establish a foothold on this planet. So this world is a perfect candidate for colonization. Go home and share the good news. Once you've finished your survey, it's time to go home and share the good news. Okay. Super Earth and Warzone. Mining colony. Armies of undersoars are laboring every day to strip this planet of all its natural resources. That's not number 7. That's number 2. Already. And process them. Refined goods. The air on this planet is getting toxic. Breathing it without or your will result in one die of damage per day. All right. So that's that. Mining colony. Hmm. Okay. Conquered homeworld. Human beings. What are they called? I forgot what they call them. Hang on one sec. Planet catch. Healing the Scorchlings. And the Loom are not the only civilizations the Saurian horde has encountered. Here we go. In their expansion, in the expansion of their empire. More than once, they have exterminated entire civilizations, entire homeworlds. Humans, the Scorchlings, and the Loom are not the only beings that the Saurian horde has encountered in the expansion of their empire. They exterminated entire civilizations on this world. The ruins of one such civilization still stand to this day. Maybe those ruins would make a good hiding place for human colonists. Who knows what secrets we could learn there? Mist world. Spore world. On this world, the Saurians are losing the fight. Are maintained on this planet, on this world. On this world, the Saurians are fighting against a loom, a spore infestation. A modest Saurian city or outpost is fighting against a spore infestation to get what they can from the planet's natural resources. To find out more about the spore, check out the Jump Ranger's core book. Chapter 6, Monsters from the Void. I'm going to double check this, as well as, am I? Yeah, we're still on the screen here. We're good. As well as intel file of mice and mandibles. Then there must be some life worth saving. So feel free to invent plants and animals. As you go. Okay. Chapter 6, is that chapter 6? We're just going to check my facts here. Chapter 6, Monsters of the Void. Of the Void. Jump Rangers, Chapter 6, Monsters of the Void, as well as intel file of mice and mandibles. The mandible part is the spore part, of course. All right. Let's see. Mining colony, conquered homeworld, spore world. Let's see. It's a place. At least one. motherships tend to visit worlds with an established. Only rarely. Try and set out to establish a new Saurian colony. So just because no human has ever seen this planet doesn't mean haven't been here. The Saurians haven't been here for a very long time. All right. All right. Well, it's been about 2 hours. Let's see. I'm just going to jot down a couple of ideas here. We're going to pick this up next week because I'm starting to get a little tired. I think that I need to cool this room down for Ibby Looney. Shattered world is one thought. Asteroid base. And we've already got a Saurian vacation world. I don't think the Saurians have very many of those. And Saurian city planet. Saurian, like a core world. Asteroid base. Saurian. Okay. So let's go ahead and move 6 and 7 up. Put them here. And we're going to put 7 is like a new Saurian, Saurian metropolis. What's a better word for metropolis? But not city. Something more imposing. Like an industry planet, I'm just gonna look it up on thesaurus. Metropolis. Saurian megacity. Mega. Saurian major Saurian world. That's how we put it. One of the major houses of Soros has built over almost every surface of this planet. Creating a stronghold. A stronghold of industry and a fiery hellscape. And a fiery toxic hellscape in the process. Return to step and roll to see which house is running this place and what they might be trying to achieve. In doing so. One of the many Saurian houses has built over every building a stronghold of industry, creating a fiery hellscape of imposing structures and toxic wastelands. Return to step 1 and roll to see which house is running this place and what they might be trying to achieve. By doing so. Good. Good. Now, we only have 2 more. Why don't we finish this? Why are we... We can finish this. And then we'll wrap the adventure up in the next session. All right. So, Super Earth, mining colony, conquered homeworld, spore world, major Saurian world, war zone. I want it to be interesting. You know what I mean? I want it to be. Well, asteroid base. Somewhere in space. set up a mining colony into there undersource labor under grueling and dangerous working conditions. Motherships dock to haul away refined ore. Galaxies, many asteroid belts. Deep in one of the galaxy's many asteroid belts and asteroid fields, the Saurians have built a mining colony into the body of a larger asteroid. Labor under grueling. All right. One more. One more. Super Earth, mining colony, asteroid base. I don't think the Saurians are going to go for a water planet. Hostile planet. On this planet, a meager Saurian outpost is battling extreme environmental conditions. To mine something extremely valuable. To find out what it is, table. Does this image table 3 one more. Hazard. Okay. Intelligent life, labor, 2. All right. Cold, water, heat, octonium. Water, water, cold, heat, toxins. Food and water. Water. It's just water. Chemicals. Ocean planet. I don't think a whole planet could actually be covered in water. I think some of it would have to be frozen. You know what I mean? Like Io. For a whole planet to be covered in water, it would have to be cold enough that the atmosphere would would have covered the planet's surface. Okay. So, cold, heat, toxins, radiation, intelligent life. Hmm. What else is super lethal? Um, uh, high gravity. High gravity. Um, so this would be like uh, minerals. Low gravity. No atmosphere. Minerals. Chemicals. Gas giant. On this planet, a meager Saurian outpost is battling extreme environmental hazards to mine something extremely valuable. To find out what makes this planet so dangerous and so important, roll one die and note the result. Conquered homeworld, spore world, major Saurian world, war zone. Yeah, okay. That's a fantastic chart. That is a deep, complex, interesting chart. I like it. It's definitely time for me to log off. So let me just fix this stuff. And then we will pick this up next week and finish it off. But I think this is a great little one-shot adventure. Or maybe it's the beginning of something. But it's a lot of fun. All right. Table options. Let's get rid of all that. This looks nice. It's put together. I like it. Yes. Thank you for watching the mission files. I'm gonna get this posted on YouTube. We're gonna do one more week, obviously, on this one. Saturday at 1:30 on this channel, we will continue our adventures with Sneakers and Clyde, Jump Rangers Extraordinaire, playing through the first contact mission in the Jump Rangers core book with Federico and Ipiluni. Federico is our concept artist and most importantly our art director. Ipiluni is voice actor and the love of my life. Other people will be joining the game as time goes on. And until then, go high and go far. I stream Star Citizen tomorrow morning if you want to come say hi at 10 a.m. Pacific at twitch.tv twitch.tv/Techer10. Thank you for watching the stream. Have a great week. Catch you later.